Hello YouTube, let's talk mania again. I just did a video that my battery ran out, and I did a video in the past about hypomania and mania that I will link to and did link to and will link to the other related videos. But typically people think of mania as a good trip, inflated self-esteem up to the point of grandiosity, potentially thinking you're famous, influential, godlike, confidence, just feeling really good, really pleasurable, really positive. That is the case in euphoric mania. Euphoria. That's not always the case in mania. There's another type of mania called dysphoric mania. Unfortunately, that often tends to be what I wind up in. It starts good, it ends real bad. Typically when I'm working my way towards psychosis, if it goes on that high and that hard, I end up in a dysphoric state, which is like a bad trip. So, it is not uncommon for people with bipolar to have what are called mixed states. A mixed state is when you have symptoms of both mania and depression coexisting in the same individual at the same time. This seems totally impossible, but it is totally common. And mixed episodes of both depression and mania tend to be my most common expression. I tend not to have the awesome mania, and my depressive episodes tend to involve energy, not excessive energy, but not the kind of debilitating energy that is often involved in depression, though I've had pure depressive states where in bipolar depression you lose mobility and walk like a zombie and you are physically slowed down. I tend to have enough energy to follow through on bad ideas that come with depression. And that is euphoric depression. And then dysphoric mania is, like I said, the bad trip. Most people have the misconception that manic episodes are pleasurable, and that people in manic episodes, especially if they haven't gone too long, have decided to invest their whole life savings into some ludicrous thing, or sell their house, or do some other risky and dangerous venture, which is often the case, which is why people that are in full-blown mania need to be in full-blown hospitals. Hypomania is not that way. But if you are manic, you often wind up in a hospital, good or bad situation. The issue with dysphoric mania is that you have some combination of depressive symptoms coexisting with manic symptoms, which is a very, very uncomfortable feeling. And this seems like it's impossible, but it's brain chemistry. It is a brain chemistry disorder. And so it is just the same as mixing drugs together, external drugs that you could take, and having them not go together so well. If you are highly agitated, high energy of mania, flight of ideas, a million ideas, racing mind, racing thoughts, great, huge, grand thoughts, deep, compelling thoughts about the universe and everything, making these loose associations in your mind is going a mile a minute, and you are enticed to take risk and have this overblown sense of self, of power, of etc., and you have energy, and yet you are irritable, agitated, paranoid, depressed. Sounds like you couldn't possibly be. But it's like having regular depression with speed. You are angry, volatile. Some people with mania pick fights, verbal and literal fights. They can be a danger to themselves at these mixed episodes more than at other episodes, because if you are in full-blown depression, that's straight bipolar depression, that symptom that keeps you so low that you are nearly frozen to your bed keeps you from acting out any negative behavior that may cause harm to yourselves, because you are too physically exhausted to take action. If you have the same symptoms of severe depression, and yet you are highly motivated and thinking fast and clear, you can procure the things you need to do the wrong and worst possible decisions of your life. On the high end of dysphoric mania, again, you have more of a propensity to be paranoid, agitated, aggravated, skin crawly, pick fights, be intense, be angry, be depressed, potentially want to do things that are self-damaging, the same as you would a depressive person, because your thoughts are sorrow and sadness and dark, and they're fast, and you got the energy, but you're agitated and you're sad at the exact same time. And especially if you reach a high enough level that you begin to lose touch with reality, your psychosis can be very dark, like mine was, where I thought it was the apocalypse and heaven and hell had come together, the earth had broken, and there were demons and stuff walking around the planet, and it was the apocalypse, and I needed to sacrifice myself. And I had the energy to do it. I didn't sleep for days. I ripped handles off of car doors. I had power of a superwoman, though I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I didn't know about half of the things I did until afterward. So some of the symptoms of mania are not what you would imagine them to be. Being able to spot other symptoms that are atypical, that are more typical of a mixed episode, are also key to helping yourself and helping those you love. Those symptoms are a mixture of both. If you notice a change in the person's dress, again, if they're moody but motivated, it may be dark dress, sudden change in demeanor and obsessions about things, thoughts they can't get out of their head. They may have some of the typical over energy, talking a lot, moving a lot, fidgeting, but they may be more aggressive, argumentative, irritated, irritable than is typical. They may begin to obsess about topics that are out of the norm, or if they are in their norm, like mine was a religious delusion that I wound up with because I wound up psychotic. I am religious, but I became obsessively religious. So obsessing around topics, a dramatic change in their behavior that involves high energy. Again, the fidgeting, the talking a lot, the moving a lot, the lack of need for sleep, changes in their eating, changes in their dress and their behavior. But it doesn't have to be fluffy bunnies and rainbows and a positive outlook and high self-esteem. It can be a very unpleasant feeling. And the person can become far more easily triggered, far more irritable, far more anxious and paranoid. They may talk obsessively about negative things. They may become fearful. They may not want to be touched. These are just a few symptoms of hearing somebody talk about sad things, or crying a lot, or being afraid to look out the window or leave their house, yet they're running about and they're not sleeping. Speaking about big things again, but they could be conspiratorial or paranoid, and seem unrealistic. Could be signs that they're starting to get extremely high and need help. But bouts of uncharacteristic decreased sleep, increased energy, increased talkativeness, and increased agitation, paranoia, irritation, volatility, can also be symptoms of mania. So when someone's behavior changes dramatically, along with their energy levels, their appetite, pay close attention, and their sleep. Even if it doesn't seem like it would be mania, because they don't seem very happy. And they can't be depressed because they have so much energy. It might be euphoric depression. It takes a professional to pick these apart and classify them appropriately. And it takes time, and these are things why your diagnosis might change over time. But mixed episodes are some of the most dangerous episodes as far as the person doing damage to themselves. Not just destroying their life and their relationships, but damage themselves because they have sorrow of depression and energy of mania, or flight of ideas, grandiosity, high self-esteem, and incapacitation of depression. Any mixture of symptoms can occur in these mixed states. And typically, a hypomanic person, even if they bridge off into psychosis, is only going to do damage to them. Or a manic person, if they dip off into psychosis, is only going to do damage to themselves and their own life, in mania, their own relationships and things, because they're making foolish choices that they don't understand, because they're too sick to have insight anymore. And if they're extremely depressed, typically by the time they get too depressed that they would do anything that would be detrimental, besides just to their lifestyle, to their relationships, to their job, by not showing up, etc. But literally to themselves, they're just bedbound and too incapacitated to do anything. But when you mix the two, it's really, really unbearable. feel internally, physiologically and psychologically, and it puts them in a place where they can do things to react and respond to the mixed episode that can get them into a lot of trouble, like picking fights, can put them in physical danger, or could get them in trouble legally, or picking fights with their spouse and family members can destroy relationships, or they could harm themselves. And it's missed too often because most people don't even really understand what bipolar actually is and how it actually operates, let alone what mania is and how it operates, and especially are unaware to be aware of even the existence of a mixed episode and the signs to look out for. Is your normally loving, calm, and sweet partner or family member or friend pacing the floors, peeking out the windows, talking nonstop, telling you that life is, they're afraid life is not worth living, you go to touch them and they push you away, picking fights with you, irritable and agitated, is just one example of how it can play out. Be on the lookout for dress, personality, objects of interest, subjects, things they're thinking about, behavior changes, energy changes, appetite changes, up or down, and sleeping changes, up or down, for mixed state. Trust me, it's a bad trip. One you don't want to take if you can prevent it. So if you catch yourself, again, starting to slip into insomnia, agitation, racing thoughts, the quicker you catch a manic episode, the better. Because not only do they cause detriment and danger to your life, potentially lead you into psychosis the more often that you have them, and even the good ones cause you to make a lot of foolish mistakes. But you also have the possibility of having a bad trip on both ends of the spectrum. So if you notice changes in yourself, try to catch them early, and if you notice changes in others, try to catch them early and get medical intervention. Good morning, goodbye, I love you guys. I thought I should follow up my tirade of bipolar videos because I haven't uploaded for a while, and in that section, and fill you in a little bit more on other aspects. Good morning, goodbye. Related links below.